And hello again. Here we go. Guess what? I had this morning a friend of mine that forwarded me something from a platform called The Conversation, and it's all about publishing interesting stuff, academic research, reporting on what's the latest and the greatest, but with a bit of a twist. So I kind of already like this conversation, and the one bit that the published article here is about, it was only published May 27th, so this year, so rather recent. And the publisher is a professor from Queen Mary University of London, Magda Osman. Never read anything of hers apart from this piece. And guess what? So the whole bit starts with this little snippet. It's a question from one of the readers. Sometimes when I ask myself why I've made a certain choice, I realize I don't actually know. To what extent we are ruled by things we aren't conscious of? And that's a pretty goddamn good question. The article itself, it's labeled this: to what extent are we ruled by unconscious forces? And it has a pretty cool approach to research, the academic side of it, the type of experiments and trials that psychologists and scientists are trying to figure out, the fundamental problems of life, and pretty much how much of what we do, say, or behave ourselves in any particular way, how much of it is actually us truly interacting and replying or engaging with the world inside and outside, and how much of it is in fact unconscious response or unconscious decision making. And at some point here, this is the bit that I wanted to read you, because I was like, wow, yes, it is exactly that, and it makes much more sense. Instead of, I keep having this debate in my head, and it is all around how me as a person, how much choice, and I try to have a choice in everything I say and do. I try to apply myself, and make my own decision on things. But how much of it is actually me, and how much of it is the multitude or the complexity or the uniqueness of me that my brain or mind or thoughts automatically grasps an opinion of what's in front of my eyes, and shifts out a response or a reaction. So here's the thing about unconscious forces, because it's all, in our cognitive system, it's all about what takes precedence. Do I actually have that choice, or is it just a reaction that I'm not even conscious of? And when it comes to this particular piece, it says this: unconscious processes such as intuition function in ways that automatically and rapidly synthesize a range of complex information, and this gives an advantage over thinking deliberately. So literally, unconscious thought may well get the better of you and your deliberate thinking. So we're not going to go into the philosophical debate of what's the meaning of life and how much choice and freedom of will do we have. But I like this way of how it's put across, as in particularly lately we get told, you know, like, follow your intuition and follow your gut and follow all of that, instead or as a substitute or as an alternative to actually relying on your senses and on your perception, because perception can be deceiving. But then again, how much of the unconscious decision making, as I've just read to you, how much of that is deceiving you, or how much of that snap analysis of complexity of things that you remember, things you've been through, things that your sensory perception captured and is there, and experience and wishes and dreams and thoughts and emotions and all of those, how does that happen over the deliberate thinking? And that got me into I'll read you the end of the article, because that sort of shifted me into what I usually tend to question all the time. It's us and the relationship that we have with everything around and inside. So the article ends this way. So why did you fall in love with your partner? Maybe they made you feel strong or secure, challenged you in some way, or maybe they just smelled nice. Just like any other matter of importance, it is multifaceted and there's no single answer. What I would argue is that it's unlikely that your conscious self had anything at all to do with it. And guess what? If someone would ask you, do you remember when you fell in love? You probably remember when the realization of it, the thought of it came and dawned on you. But do you actually remember how it happened? Because it's beyond that deliberate thinking. And then again, the reverse of it is just as valid. Do you remember when you fell out of love? Do you remember when things ended in a relationship? And after it dawned on you deliberately that it actually ended, is it that whole sadness that overwhelms us, that whole analysis of what it was and how it happened and how we arrived to this point, all of that? I've got a lovely post-it note here to read from. Is that, thinking to that article that I've just read you, most of the times things don't start and things don't end because of what is right now in front of our eyes. What I'm saying is, we don't fall in love with deliberate thinking that, yep, this is it, I'm going to fall in love with this one. Just as much as we don't break up, or we don't lose a relationship, or we don't get lost out of a relationship because of, yeah, right now this is it, that does it for me, I am no longer interested to move on. I think what does it, and I think the unconscious part works a treat in every kind of interaction, if you look at it that way. we don't necessarily, we don't look at the things in front of us. We in fact make decision not at face value. We just make decision on what could be or what could have been. And aside from the things that you had, you sometimes feel, it's the weirdest thing, you feel sadness over things that never happened. You feel torn over what could have been, which is a freakishly weird trait of human mind, but it does creep up into your mind that way. And I don't have an answer for you and I can't get any more philosophical, but well, actually I can get a bit more scientific, and I'm gonna find that piece of article. There's something called quantum annealing, and that is worth few talks, just to pique your brains a little, because I kind of like that approach to things, to life, to everything in general. And like anything else, I'm going to put it all in perspective of relationships, because without relationships, without the relationship with others, the world, and ourselves, we're I don't know, asleep. Anyway, I'm Gabriela. Thanks for watching. It's a rainy Saturday afternoon, and yeah, one has lots of other things to read. Have a beautiful day, and talk to you tomorrow.